red button. Okay, so today's date is 10/4.
Over and out.
And I'm still doing activity 3.1. So the key thing here is we're going to have to measure it and make an isometric. Right, there's the object that we're making. It's all measured in inches for this one. The other one was measured in centimeters. So you're learning how to measure in both of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with drawing my angled lines. That's how I always started. So I'm going to start right here from my bottom corner. And I like to go over 2 boxes, up 1. Over 2 boxes, up 1 is going to give me pretty close to a 30. It's not going to be exactly a 30, but it's going to be close enough for what I'm dealing with. I can either sketch it or I can take a ruler and line it up. Either way is fine. So if this is my bottom corner, and it's just a construction line, so it goes way off to the side. Once again, over 2 boxes, up 1. Over 2 boxes, up 1. I just get a few points so that I can go ahead and draw through them. It does, of course, take a little more time when you use a ruler, too. So right there's my construction lines to be the bottom corner. If I look at my drawing, I can go ahead and see that the height of this corner, I'm going to use this as my corner, is 1 inch. I'm getting that from the side there. And I can go ahead and draw straight up then 1 inch. I'm going to line up my 1 inch mark on my ruler with my corner there. And I'm going to go ahead and draw from 0 down. Not from the end of the ruler, just from 0 down. That's going to be an object line, so I could darken that now if I want to. My depth on my object, based on our drawing once again, is 0.5 inches. So I'm going to come back to this line that I did draw earlier and measure that at 0.5 inches. So I drew it way too long, but it's a construction line. I was looking for my angle for now. So I've got that set at 0.5, and I'm going to just put a tick mark right there. The width on my object is 2.75 right there. So I'm going to once again mark that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up on 2.75 on my ruler. And come out to the 0 mark and just put a little tick mark right there. So just getting it all laid out for now, I can go ahead and then draw this one straight up my 1 inch as well. I'm going to actually sketch that up straight up. And if I mark that at my 1 inch, I like to have my line there before I actually mark something. I think it's easier. And then this one should go ahead and shoot straight off to that line. So that's starting to box in that end of our object. This end over here is also going to be the 1 inch tall, so I'm going to sketch that straight up. Doesn't matter if I go further because we'll darken in our object later. And I'm going to mark that at the 1 inch as well. That's going to give me a line to project to. Even though the object isn't the same height all the way across, I can still project these lines all the way there. I'll deal with that curve later. So the key thing we're trying to learn here is how to measure things as we go ahead and draw. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch this one in here. And we know that it has to go over. The first block is 1 inch. The second block is 1 inch. The total length is 2.75. So that means the last portion is only 3/4 of an inch. And I'm going to mark those off here. So if I lay my ruler there, should measure out to exactly 2 3/4. And the first one is going to be at 1 3/4 then, and this one's going to be at 3/4. So those are my tick marks. I could actually darken in parts of these so I know what part I need. So coming down off there is going to be object, and coming this way is going to be object. And actually I shouldn't have darkened all that because I've got a curve down here. I'll erase that a little bit. But we've got the concept there. I'm going to create this box that falls over here. I'm going to go ahead and once again go over 2 blocks, up 1 block, over 2 blocks, up 1 block. Even though it didn't fall on a corner, I'm still able to do that. And I'm going to use that for my angle here. And I should be able to connect that right up there, or I could also measure my 1 inch, or my 0.5 inch depth, and that'd give me a point to connect to. Either way would work. And since I've got that, I can go ahead and sketch between my points there, or I could use a ruler and draw it in there. I still like the idea of using some sketching there. So that's that end block that's going to go ahead and be on my object. It looks like it's a lot deeper than 0.5 here, but that's what the measurement says, so that's what we're going to go ahead and make it. I'm going to darken that in. So hopefully these isometrics are going to look a lot better than the ones when we were just sketching, since we're actually using measurements now. Now the height of the middle portion goes up another 1/4 inch. I've got that right there. So I can go ahead and draw up a 1/4 inch on both of these points here. I'm going to go ahead and sketch a line straight up, sketch a line straight up, and measure both of those at a 1/4 inch now. I don't like to use the section between 0 and 1 inches because it's got so many tick marks. So I'm actually going to go off the 2-inch mark and go up a 1/4 inch on that. And same thing up here. And that's perfectly fine as long as you are making sure that you actually measure the right measurement. I can go ahead and connect those two. And darken that in if I would like. Now I can go ahead and bring this corner up a 1/4 inch. Once again, I'm going to measure that off of my 2 up to the 1/4 inch. And I can connect those, darken that all in. I can go ahead and shoot this one back at my angle, shoot that one up at an angle. These are the easy ones. The hard one's going to go ahead and be when we have to deal with the curved edge over there. So I can do that a couple different ways. I can either do my angles and mark them off, or I can eyeball that. So if I go over 2 up 1 is going to be right about there. And I can eyeball that in. Should pretty much line up with my other one. And same thing going this way. I can either go ahead and mark it off or eyeball it in. So over 2 up 1 is going to be right about there. And right there's that top setting there. I'm going to darken that in. I like to do darkening at every step so that I make sure I have my finished object. We're starting to see it there. I could actually darken this bottom edge in. I see that I didn't do that earlier since I have a length on it. Now what I've got to deal with is this curve here. I'm actually going to find my other point. This was the corner I was dealing with. I'm going to go ahead and shoot that back at that 30 I'm dealing with. So over 2 blocks up 1 gives me that line angle I'm looking for. Should come pretty close to all the rest of mine. I'm going to mark that at my 1/2 inch. Once again coming off the 2 so I don't have to deal with all those tick marks. So that should be my depth there. And that should hopefully line up with this other line that I've got on the other side. And that's going to vanish behind my top block. Now all I've really got to do is create those curves in there. So I'm just going to kind of sketch those. And I'm going to try to line that up the same place. And it goes until the tangent line, and we'd actually have a line connecting across there. So the curves is probably going to be the hardest part. I'm going to darken that in there. Connect that on down. That's the basic shape of the object. Now I've got the circle to make in there. It tells us that the circle is up 3/4 of an inch and in from the side 1 1/4 inches for the center of it. So I'm going to go ahead and come up with that. I'm going to roughly come in the middle of it here and come up the 3/4 of an inch and put a mark there so that I know that's roughly where it's going to be there. Come down at the same angle I'm dealing with and put a mark at 1 1/4 inches. And you can see that right about there is going to be where my center is. Now the size of the circle is a diameter of 0.5. So if I go ahead and center a 1/4 inch on that, notice that my ruler is going at the same angle as the rest of my lines there. And if I come over here to the 1/2 inch mark and to the 1 mark, that's going to go ahead and give me the edges of the circles that way. And once again I'm going to center on a 1/4 inch going up and down. And go ahead and mark the 1/2 inch and the 1 inch. That's going to give me the tops of my circles. So then I should be able to connect those with arcs to go ahead and create that circle sketch. Right there should go ahead and be our circle. Now if we wanted to, we could go ahead and possibly see it going out the back side. I don't think we're going to, but I could go ahead and darken that in then. If we wanted to, there's actually a way to do that with a compass as well, but this is good enough for what we're doing.